You know how you sometimes get a song stuck in your head? I call it an earworm. Well, Wednesday this week, I had that Lighthouse Family song, Ocean Drive, stuck in my head. And on Thursday I went to the supermarket and it was actually being played over their sound system. Then, on Friday, when I got up, I did a bit of work, and when I finished the work, I looked at my watch, and it was 5:10, and I burned 510 kilojoules. And for those reasons, I'm changing the name of this channel to Theist Morph.
Like, I've experienced miracles myself, so I don't need Pentecostal friends.
No, that wasn't what I said.
I've had many things that I've prayed for come to. I've prayed for things and had it happen. Like, obviously you're going to think this is a stupid example, but I've been looking for something for hours and I've prayed to find it, and I've literally gone to it in 1 second, and it was in a box that I'd already looked in.
So let's consider what's being said here. And for this purpose, I'm just going to be God for a moment. So the car keys are in here. Somebody's looking for the car keys. So I'm God. I'm just going to keep these car keys out for a minute. Just holding on to them, and I'm waiting for him to pray. Oh, there's the prayer. I'm going to pop them back in. Now the next time he looks, they'll be in there.
Like, I've experienced miracles myself, so I don't need Pentecostal friends.
No, that wasn't what I said.
I've had many things that I've prayed for come to. I've prayed for things and had it happen. Like, obviously you're going to think this is a stupid example, but I've been looking for something for hours and I've prayed to find it, and I've literally gone to it in 1 second, and it was in a box that I'd already looked in. I've been locked out of my car and tried for hours to get in, and I was about to be late for work. I prayed and I unlocked the door within a second.
Hours? How early for work did you want to be?
Doing the exact same thing I'd been doing for an hour.
Okay.
So now you're going to think that's stupid?
No, I'm not. Hold on.
That's perfectly fine.
Hold on. I'm not saying that's stupid, but it's a great example. So let's run with that. So how did you determine that your God was involved in all of this?
Me, Peter. Ask me. I know this one. Confirmation bias.
Because it happened instantly when I prayed.
That's what's called the argument from ignorance, or the argument from personal incredulity.
Well, I can't think of any other reason.
I don't know of a better explanation. Therefore, God.
Are you familiar with the concept of confirmation bias?
I'm not trying to convince anyone by my personal stories.
You're convincing yourself.
Yes, I am thoroughly convinced. But
do you have good reasons to convince yourself? That's what I'm asking.
Well, it depends. Is a good reason for you? Should I adopt what you think is a good reason, or should I believe what I think is?
Surely what's a good reason in this situation should be able to be determined objectively, not subjectively. It shouldn't be, this is a good reason for person X, and this is a good reason for person Y, but it's not a good reason for person X. We should be able to determine these things objectively, so we know what are good reasons in this situation and what are bad reasons in this situation. In the case of God claims, as Hitchens said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And I really don't think that finding the car keys is extraordinary evidence.
A good reason.
What's wrong? What's wrong with coincidence? Do you think things happen purely by coincidence?
What is the saying? If a thing happens one time, it's a coincidence. If it happens, two of the same thing happen, it's a pattern. And if three of the same thing happen, it's a program. I've had it happen dozens of times.
Yeah, okay. So, but if it actually is what you say it is, it would work now, wouldn't it?
No, because God is sovereign and He does all that He pleases.
Right. So it's an untestable hypothesis.
That's a great cop out. So God does it whenever He wants to do it. If He doesn't want to do it, He doesn't do it.
Yeah, right.
So you're counting
you're
counting the hits and discarding the misses. That's what you're doing.
So these are the sorts of things that God does to prove that He exists. He helps people find their car keys, and He helps them open their car sometimes when it's stuck. What else does He do? Well, He definitely helps sports teams win. Unfortunately, the people on the other side prayed as well, and they lost. But hey, I mean, what better things does God have to do than play silly buggers with your car keys? You know, I'll hide them till He prays, and then I'll make them appear again. Well, here's an idea. It's estimated that about 3.1 million children die of malnutrition every year. Couldn't He be making sure that those children get enough food? Or what about the children who have been abused by His own representatives here on earth, if we believe that that's what Catholic priests are? Couldn't He have saved those children that trauma? So, let's look at an alternative explanation as to how the car keys were found after a prayer. I routinely lose things as well. I'm great at misplacing stuff. Car keys not so much, but it does happen occasionally, so let's use that as an example. So, I'm looking for my car keys, and I can't find them. And I'm often in a rush, and I get more and more frantic, and the more frantic I am, the less likely I am to find them. Now, when this happens, I have a routine. I try to slow it down, think about the last time I had them, and then often I can trace what I did, where I'm likely to have put them, and more often than not, I come across them pretty quickly after that. And yes, sometimes I've already looked there. But, as my wife would say, I had a man look. So, is it not more plausible that you're looking for your car keys, you're getting frantic, you're not looking properly, then you say a prayer, and that just slows you down, makes you concentrate a little bit more, and the next time you look more thoroughly, taking your time, not being frantic, and then you find them. Is that not more plausible? So all these things are examples of something called confirmation bias. The person who's the subject of this particular video believes his God exists. So every time he says a prayer and it helps him out, he counts it as evidence that his God exists and is actually helping him at that moment. But he's also doing something called hit counting, which is every time it goes right after a prayer, he counts it in favor of his God, but every time he doesn't take it as evidence that his God isn't actually there. So all the hits are being counted, all the misses are not being counted. And this leads to a situation where, when it goes right, thank you God. When it doesn't, well, God just didn't decide to help me this time. And you're setting up what's known as an unfalsifiable proposition then. If you find your stuff, God helped. If you don't, God just didn't help this time. You see the same sort of thing happening in other situations. For example, in these sort of mass shooting situations. If it wasn't for God, it could have been much worse. Well, where's your critical region? How many people have to die before God's not present? Wherever it falls, however many people are killed, you can always say it would be worse if God didn't intervene. Now, atheists are very often accused of being arrogant, of pretending that we're God, for example. But is it not the height of arrogance to think that God is going to let 6 million people die in the Holocaust, but he's going to help you find your car keys? How arrogant is that? You are the center of everything. The creator of the universe cares so much about whether you believe in him that he's going to play around with your stuff and hide it and then bring it back out after a prayer. Really?